I'm going to remove my knee, again, putting my hand in place to make sure that this first S-fold that I did doesn't move. I'm just going to roll what I've just done on top of it. Once there's some pressure here, I can remove this hand. Again, I'm not struggling with this pack job right now. This is a pretty new canopy. I think it only has 10 jumps on it, maybe. So it's brand new. What I'm going to do is I put my knee here, excuse me, for a little bit of support. I think it's also allows me to keep that fold from sliding out, that first that first S-fold. Now, we can clearly see that the canopy is close to the size of the bag. I'm just going to slide the bag over it. I'm going to slowly lift each side of the bag and pull this flap underneath. Like so. With lots of practice and a good shape to work with, that parachute goes right into that bag. I'm going to hop onto the other side here. We take a look down those lines. Even after working with that pack job and doing the double S fold and getting it into the bag, the lines still look good. There's no slack in those lines. I know that because there's no slack in those lines, everything that I've done in that pack job during the flaking, during getting the air out of it and everything else, and putting it into the bag, nothing's changed. So once that canopy's in the bag, I like to set it up on its end. I bring this flap over. Instead of stretching the rubber band to the grommet, I really make sure that this grommet comes all the way down to that piece of tape or the base of that rubber band. So I'm pushing that down here, getting that rubber band through. I use large rubber bands, not any tube stows or anything like that. And I put 2 wraps on it, and I'll show you what I do. You see something that I just did that really helps me out. I reach as far down as I can comfortably without stressing myself, and I bring all of that, any extra slack, out right now. And I make my stow, and I put 2 wraps on there. Because I have 2 wraps on my stows, whether they're through the grommets, quote-unquote locking stows, or on the rubber bands on the side, I don't need to have really, really long stows. 1.5 to 2 inches long is what we would recommend. Because we have proper tension on those stows, we don't need to have a lot. Some people put the bag in between their knees like this. I'm going to do it like this. Whatever it is, I just don't like dragging my rig that much, so I walk my canopy or my bag to my canopy, making nice even stows all the way down. There's no spaghetti in between there. There's a little bit right there. That's going to come mainly from the cascades of those lines. Now that I got another rubber band on there, I'm going to finish this up. Put this last little bit of line in there. I recommend anywhere from 12 to 18 inches from the top of these lines here to this stow. A little more is okay. Much less than that is going to be some problems. We could, if we wanted to, put a single wrap here, but I really wouldn't. I would leave about this much excess. 12 inches isn't necessarily enough if you're packing a tandem rig, but 18 inches might be a little too much if you're packing a normal sport rig. So it kind of depends on the size of the parachute, the size of the container, but general rule of thumb that we all pretty much go by is 12 to 18 inches from that last stow to the top of those risers. There's a lot of variables that go into that, length of risers and everything else. So if you shoot and aim for 12 to 18 inches, that's good. If there was ever a stow that we could afford to have looser, it would be the very last stow, the one that's going to be pulled out first during the deployment. The reason behind that basically allows that bag to get off your back, out of that pack tray, and into clean air without holding tight. If we wrap it super tight, we can experience the bag rotating, which can give us off-heading openings, possibly even line twists that are basically openings that nobody wants. So if there was one that we could do, it would be, like if I were to stow these lines right here, I would probably just put them in this large rubber band as a beauty stow or something of the sort, which doesn't do anything except for keep it nice and neat when I put my canopy in the bag. So that's pretty much the pack job that we went over. A few of the things that we need to remember for the pack job: proper line tension. We achieve that by getting something on our rig to weigh it down, whether it's a sandbag or a bowling ball. If you're packing outside and you put a stake in the grass and you wrap your leg straps around there, something like that allows us to give good line tension during the pack job, making sure that that slider is down on the stops and quartered equally on all parts. Don't pull it forward to the nose, don't pull it back to the tail. The tip of putting your finger in the center of that slider and pushing down, that pretty much gives us the slider position that we're looking to achieve. I don't do anything with the nose of my canopy, and I don't roll my tail really hard. The mindset that I think of when I put the parachute in the bag is getting the parachute to an approximate size of the bag and then sliding that bag over that parachute. We don't have to struggle with it. You saw that it was pretty easy. Even though it's a brand new canopy, we could still get it in there. And then double wrapping large rubber bands gives us the most consistent openings. Because we have 2 wraps on those rubber bands, or on those stows, we know the line stow is secured. We don't need to have really long stows. So 1.5 to 2 inches from the rubber band to the end of the stow, eliminating any sort of spaghetti that goes on in there, and 12 to 18 inches from that last stow to the top of those risers. If we can achieve those things, we're going to get the most consistent openings on our parachutes, which are going to give us the best skydives and the most enjoyable skydives that we can get. So good luck, guys. Hopefully you can practice this and find a technique that works well for you, and blue skies.